Pulse School on realagriculture.com is brought to you by Saskatchewan Pulse Growers and BASF.
We are at the Canadian Grain Commission's head office here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, joined by the CGC's Daryl Beswitherick. And Daryl, we're talking pulse crop quality. And the 2015-16 crop, it was a wet year, and we're seeing that in terms of samples and grading coming into the market. Why don't we start with lentils? What are we seeing in terms of the profile for lentils on the prairies?
All right. Well, you're correct. The wet growing season and harvest definitely had some impact on lentils. For green lentils, we're seeing 11.2% of the crop grading number 1, 49.2% number 2. And it is an industry practice that most lentils are shipped as number 2 or better. So, there is over 50% of the crop that is in that grade that is being shipped. So that's positive. Not to say that the wet weather did not impact the color of the lentils this year. Also, there was more damage than other years as well, and so we did see some downgrading due to those two grading factors.
Okay, those are the two main ones.
Yeah, those are the main ones for lentils. For green lentils is that overall color evaluation and damage. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have data on red lentils?
And the red lentils, red lentils are a little bit different because color doesn't have as significant of an impact. But we definitely saw a lot of more damage in red lentils. The Assacaita, just kernels that were impacted by the excessive amounts of rain throughout Saskatchewan. So we're looking at the numbers: 34% grading number 1, 27.5% grading number 2. And then for an extra 3, 30.5%. So those numbers are what we have received in our harvest sample program, and from samples that were submitted to us by producers.
Okay. Do you have any taste in terms of geography and where quality issues are the worst, or where things turned out all right? Does that show in the data?
It was pretty widespread. The rain, was widespread. I do know that, in that Kindersley, Rosetown area, big lentil growing region, some of the samples that we've seen out of there were pretty low for damage, or high levels of damage. Mm-hmm. But it was really overall, I don't have that information to, exact geographic, but it was pretty widespread.
Yeah. How about for peas?
In the peas, we are, pretty average year in some ways. We did see a lot of earth tag that was causing the downgrading. Typically, we see more immaturity. This year, the peas were a little more mature, but there was some downgrading due to immaturity as well. But for our harvest sample program numbers, we had 27.2% grading number 1, 48.3% number 2, and 24.5% number 3. So it was, very much, I think, close to an average as far as grade breakdown. But we definitely did see, adhered soil, which is due to the rain and peas being lodged and closer to the ground than some years. So.
I know I have a neighbor who still has peas in the field, so
yeah. Well, those ones
didn't make it into the harvest sample survey.
They're going to be tough to combine, I'm sure.
Speaking of that, though, if you're basing these results on the harvest sample, those are voluntarily submitted by producers. How do you account for maybe the lower quality stuff that producers don't send in?
Typically, we actually see increased numbers on years where there's more grading issues. So we actually, probably the inverse of that, right? It was where on a year where we have a really good, everything's number 1, producers kind of have that mentality that we don't need to send in our sample because I already know my grade, and so, which is true, but we like to encourage producers to send in samples of their number 1 and top grades as much as their lower grades, because we use that information to provide information to our customers of Canadian Grain. So we can show them that we have a very good crop if we get more samples of of number one. So yeah, it's the program is not statistically sound, but it is based on individual producers submitting their samples to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if a producer, just finally, Daryl, if a producer has a question about the grade that they're getting from their buyer, the CGC is a resource and kind of the third party.
Yes, if
on that.
we encourage producers to find out what their grade is prior to going to their buyers, and there's a number of ways you can do that. You can submit samples in the fall with the Harvest Sample Program. We need you to sign up in order to receive the envelopes each fall, so you can go on our website to sign up. Also, you can submit samples anytime throughout the year to one of our service centers. There is a cost to that, but you can find out information about your crop prior to going and marketing it.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.